But 5G is going to be a game changer. I'm not going to have to be at home anymore to be connected. If we want to stream this interview right now, right here, using 5G, that's possible.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Eric Jones. I'm here with Juan Garcia, the head of technology at whiteGrey. Juan, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
I wanted to dive right in and wondered if you could tell us a little bit about whiteGrey and what makes you such an award-winning agency.
A collision of creativity and technology. That's a bit of who we are. But you just mentioned it 2 seconds ago. It's the team. Great ideas comes from a great team. And luckily for us, we've got great clients, and we can execute those ideas with them. There is no egos in the team. We just won an award recently, and the ideas came from the junior guys, really. So it's so good to see a culture that brings us together, but having the opportunity to actually push those ideas to clients and to work with them, and then trusting us to go ahead and execute them.
I love that phrase, the collision of creativity and technology. When you originally, when you originally came to whiteGrey, you talked about, that collision, marrying the creative with the technology. How do you balance those two to be even more effective on behalf of your clients?
Such a good question. I think, in my experience, in most advertising companies, in most digital companies, especially when they come from that traditional background, where they do a lot of brand and a lot of TV ads, they brought in the digital side. But the digital side is just that team. They might sit on the leadership group. They might have a little voice, but they're not at the same level as the creative director, or as the chief customer officers for experience. I'm lucky to sit on the same level, to sit at the exec table. We all have the same voice. When we look at ideas, we're not just looking at the on a creative point of view, but we look about how technology is gonna disrupt that idea, what's actually gonna enhance that idea or execute that idea. So it's way different. It's way different because this is the first time that I feel that I have a voice to make a change. And that I'm not just someone that is executing the ideas, but is actually contributing at the top level.
There is a broader creative canvas in terms of technologies than ever before. How are you at whiteGrey, using these technologies to sort of advance the state of the art on behalf of your brands?
Scary. It's so scary. It's so much fun. I love it. We're in a tipping point. I think brands, we talk about digital transformation. I see everyone talking about digital transformation. A few years ago, there were the big players where they had all these out-of-the-box tools like A/B testing, multivariate testing, advanced analytics. But now you have Google coming into the mix and say, hey, here's a free A/B testing tool, and it's pretty scarily good, no cost for you, for free. So when we help companies, we cannot rely on these big systems anymore. They have big licensings and big costs. We need to look beyond those 3 years and see how the actual marketers and the people that are responsible for executing the brand are going to use those tools. So it's such a good moment because we can have conversations beyond what the tools do, but how those tools are going to be maintained and how they're going to be evolved. Because there is a big chance that in a couple of years, a new tool is going to come in that is going to be much better to what you are currently using now. And marketers want to use that tool.
It's such an important point, right? There's this, you sort of have to almost resist the temptation to, fall in love with all of these technologies at a certain point. And think about, what's truly important, right? Brand relevance and trust in that brand and that type of thing. How are you using these technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence or machine learning or things like that, to heighten a brand's relevance or to increase trust in that brand?
I read a scary stat the other day. By 2020, 50% of the searches will be voice. We at whiteGrey, we're pushing a lot into the voice industry. We think it's so exciting voice. There is a lot of people you hear people coming with catchy phrases. Voice is the new UX. The screens are getting to no screens. So I think what we're trying, there are two types of approach. We're talking to brands and we're trying to tell them, hey, this is the moment to explore, to play with the technology, see the role inside of your bigger systems and how we're going to interact. And then we're talking to companies where there is a fit for purpose. We see technology that can actually be implemented. Chatbots to reduce the number of phone calls they go to customer service center, and that's a huge return on investment. You know, those phone call supports, they're answering 90% of the times, they're answering the same questions. We can use technology to not only answer those questions, but to learn how those conversations are going and even become more effective.
You know, you mentioned team and you know, the talent. It's obviously the lifeblood of any agency. How do you think about that talent acquisition and talent management on your digital team?
Especially in technology, especially in Sydney, we are very lucky to have a very healthy market. Competition is incredible, and especially if you're a developer, you're spoiled by choice here. So it's very important that not only you have the typical stuff like ping pong tables and make it a fun place to come and work. It's more important to have a plan. As a company, as an agency, we need to have a vision. Say, hey, we're gonna invest in voice, or we're gonna invest heavily in analytics and data and 360 and the personalization journey, or we actually doing both. But then you still have to do all the platform work, all the tech platform. You cannot. You know, you still need to support your clients that way. So having a plan for the people that are going to join in and investing in them, in letting them become a masters of their own craft. I think that's where the exciting work is. That's how we need to bring talent. We cannot compete anymore against the Googles and the Facebooks. They have awesome offices. But we got the flexibility and the interesting work. We can do cool stuff. We are nimble. We can move quickly. You can be working in something very cool in a voice project, but then you can jump in and work in a very cool JavaScript project for a web or for an app.
I was looking at some, you know, recent campaigns, and one that I came across was your Invisible Friends campaign, and you know, I thought it was a really creative way that you ultimately used to solve a very important problem, the problem of missing people. And you used, you know, very simple low-tech means, right, coffee cups and things like that, and you sort of married it with the very state-of-the-art at the high end of technology with voice, or I should say facial recognition, with Facebook and things like that. Tell us a little bit about that campaign and how it all came together.
Back to your first question, a collision of creativity and technology. This was an idea brought by the creative team, saying, hey guys, we should use technology this way, and this way. And we were like, oh, this is scary. The creative guys are doing our job. So how it came up is, MPN is one of our clients, and we do quite a lot of work with them. And the creative guys came up with the idea. Say, hey, Facebook just came up with this release, and this technology is available. We could use it for X, Y, and Z. Why can't we go and test it? And again, the exciting thing for the talent acquisition, this is the type of tech that you get to play if you're a whiteGrey, or if you're on these agencies that we like to play in this space, because it's the fun work. Mm-hmm. There are 1.5 million ways of cutting a carousel for a web page, but projects like this come very many, not many times in life. We did this one, and I don't know if you've seen Hello in Elephant, but check it out. It's an awesome project where you can speak and learn how to speak elephant, We won an award with it.
I think I saw that in your Twitter feed. You were promoting it, and it looked really, really cool.
It is so cool. Again, using chatbot technology from Dialogflow in Google, and again, an idea that came out of a creative and a tech person talking together. So, hey, it would be so cool. We've got all of these video assets here from the client. How can we interact? And someone said, oh, we could use X, Y, and Z because I did it for a chatbot. But I think we can do it for the voice. So it's so exciting.
You were beginning to talk a little bit about the the type of client that you like to work for. So during the pitch process, where it is a dialogue, the prospective client is basically interviewing you, and by the same token, you're interviewing them to make sure it's a good fit. What are some of the characteristics or things in the creative brief, let's say, that let you know this is going to be a great fit?
More than numbers, I think everyone likes to work with a blank piece of paper. You go full creativity, but sometimes during the pitch process, you get clients coming as, hey, we need an app, or we need a website, and this is the timeline. You start in September, you gotta finish in November, and here it is. And even the maybe an awesome client to work with, or maybe an awesome brand, the project is so limited. Mm-hmm. And it's such a hard thing to compete. You never met the client, they can see your work, but it becomes a conversation like here. So it's about making sure that you can show the work that you've done. You can be natural about it. There is no need to hide behind 1,000 slides on a presentation. So enabling that conversation as soon as you can, and trying to engage to the customer, saying, hey, we've been here many times. Let us go beyond the brief. Let us understand what you're trying to solve. Because there is a high chance that, yes, you might need an app or you might need a website, but let us look at it in a different angle. That's the value that we like to bring.
Absolutely. I was actually going to ask, how many pitches now are in fact what you described? Hey, we need this app on this timeline and all that stuff, versus inviting you in and saying, hey, we have this business problem. Let's consult around that.
In numbers, it will be hard to say. I think the traditional path of responding to RFPs and coming through the formal process is still there, but what we find, especially working with bigger tenders, that you go more creative process on how you respond to those tenders. We have the creativity to create video assets or to put a prototype together and say, hey, here's your Excel file with all the answers that you have, with all the numbers and all the questions, and all the boring bits that I call. But here's the thought that we put. Let us show you a little bit of the creativity, because here's the value that we can bring into place. So I see now that we have more creativity to respond to those RFPs.
Telstra recently became one of the very first telecommunications companies in the world, right here in Australia, to switch on 5G technology. What are you excited about? 5G, 4G, all these things. Why is 5G such a game changer? And how are you beginning to think about the opportunity that presents for you in your space? Video,
I guess, is so important. Everyone is watching video, high amounts of video. So streaming video is very important. We're playing with one idea right now, and we're trying to have a live stream we're trying to have a live stream. And we're thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? We're going to need a bit of solar power to feed the camera and to feed. We're going to need some sort of, even that if it's in the city, we're going to need some sort of connection. Okay, we should hook up to the NBN. I'm one of those lucky people in Australia to have NBN. I've got great speeds, 100 megabits all the time, down. I think I'm one of the lucky ones. If you read the news, I'm one of the lucky ones. I think it's normal. But 5G is going to be a game changer. I'm not going to have to be at home anymore to be connected. If we want to stream this interview right now, right here, using 5G, that's possible. There is no need to worry about good connections, hotel connections. Just get the phone out,
and you're golden.
and you're golden.
Yeah, it's amazing. Is there a book that you'd like to recommend to our viewers?
So I read this book, Eat That Frog, saying that if you had to eat a frog first thing during the day, if you do it the first thing in the morning, that's the worst thing you're gonna do all day. So the rest of the day is gonna be a cruise sail. So eat in the morning, and now every time I wake up, I think, okay, what is the hardest thing I have to do? Just go and nail it. Put your headphones on, get it done.
That was Juan Garcia, the head of technology at whiteGrey.
Thank you, guys.